Hello, Jim Howard here in Fort Worth, Texas. Today's date, it is September 26th of 2023. It's 9:19 a.m. in the morning, Central Standard Time. I know I look weird with a hat on. I think I have a head that was not made for hats and a face that was not made for hats. But I, in a few days, longer than a few days, I see my eye doctor. I need to get in and see the dermatologist. I haven't seen him in a year or two, and I'm sure, another, more than thing on my head that needs to be taken off the top of my head. So my head looks gross. My face looks gross. Everything looks gross on me, I think. But that's the reason. Maybe I could just lower the camera a little bit, or, and I could take the hat off. Well, the announcement is, one of my previous videos. I'm not sure if let's see. Let's go to YouTube. And let's see. Okay. Okay, so it's 4 videos back. 2 days ago, actually. Where the title is, "Wow, I'm excited about this news." And it was on the 26th, and today is the 26th. Microsoft is releasing their final of the year. Of course, there'll be some, things, but their big release of Microsoft Windows. And I forget how many. You can check the video. 86 of you already have. Is it 126 or 150 or whatever new things, changes? So today is the 26th, and actually, I was checking before midnight, before when it was still the 25th. I was checking, and I wish I could stop. I mean, I want to see what all these new things and the improved things, are. And I just keep checking to see if, speaking of that, let me see here. Let me go to, let me go here. Oh, but I have to pull that over here, don't I? Okay, come over here. And then up here in the corner, last checked 23 minutes ago. Does that tell you something? And I'm clicking on it, and it says, check for updates, and then it goes and checks. It's, this Dell computer, this little Dell computer that I paid $200 for, refurbished. It's been great, and it's my, okay, I'm up to date. So I can't stop coming over here and checking, but I think there's a very good possibility, nothing that they have said or anything, but I think there's a very good possibility that, maybe this refurbished Dell computer, which is running Windows, whatever we're running, 23, it's running it, but let's see. Supreme Court rejects Alabama's bid to avoid a second black majority district. Well, that's good. That's something good, finally. Because on the Supreme Court, 4 of the Supreme Court justices, I think 2 or 3 were appointed by Trump, I think. I know at least 2. So that sounds good. Maybe all the attention to the money and trips and gifts and everything else that the 4 Republican appointees have been taking and hiding that they've been taking them. Maybe that's got a little effect, especially since there are 3 Supreme Court justices who were not appointed by Republicans, and they've not taken anything. They're just doing their jobs. Anyway, I'm hoping that that there is going to be an update for this Dell computer. If not, then I'll just have to, deal with, which this does what I need it to do. I mean, but I want all those other things to play with. So, but I keep going over and checking it. I'm going to try not to do that for the rest of the day, but I know I won't be able to. I think I'm going to stop and check and see what that is. I think that there are the apartment complex people are having, I think, new plants installed outside the window, I think, here. So I'm going to pause this and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. There's water, a whole bunch of water out there. So I think what they're doing is they have sprinkler systems here at the apartment complex, but they don't use it, because of water shortages and all that kind of stuff. But they do use it for around their office and some areas that they have heavily planted. They have these garden company or whatever come in and plant new flowers and stuff. But I think there's a bunch of water out there, so I think what they've done is turned on the water in this area because they just planted some shrubs right underneath the window or whatever. Let's see. United States may not have any money here at the end of the week. And Trump is calling upon his people to make sure that happens. He's calling upon the Republicans, the members of the House especially, but all Republican, and he wants the general public, he wants the people, to make sure that the United States has no money and has to shut down. That of course, members of Congress still get paid. But he wants the government shut down. He thinks that, which he's totally wrong about, he thinks if the government shuts down, then the 4 trials, and I think more are coming, against him will be halted, which they will not. There, I forget what they call it. I never knew it, that when a federal crime is brought against somebody, the court automatically has the money to proceed no matter what happens. That's set up, that was somehow, I don't know what they call it. Never knew about it. And then two, Trump has said, that when the government runs out of money, which they're not out of money, but they can't spend it, that and then he's calling upon, the Republican members of the House especially, but of Congress, to not fund the United States. Actually, it's so crazy. And this was not part of the Constitution. It's something that was added in the past for some reason, and nobody thought it was be a problem. But it was that the House of Representatives would vote, I guess, once a year to authorize that what had been contracted, what they, the aircraft and the military weapons and everything that the federal government had agreed to, said, okay, yeah, to pay, that the House of Representatives would vote on that. And it was never intended that, in fact, I don't even know why that was put in the Constitution. I'm sure there was some reason. But now the House of Representatives has several times used it, and Trump is using it as a weapon against the United States and against the American people. What is insane is that a whole bunch of his followers, yes, it's all Biden's fault, and so, shut the government down. And none of it makes. And then, of course, Trump says to his people, and then you have to blame. Right in his speech, or that that Trump is saying, shut the government down. Don't pay the debts that they're supposed to pay. And he's the one saying do it. And unfortunately, the House of Representatives has a majority of Republicans, but enough of them are, Trump supporters. Actually, they're not even Trump supporters now. I think they're like, Jesus Christ, what have we got? This is a crazy man, but they don't dare say anything against him, because then he will name them, and then his followers out there will make sure that person doesn't get elected, or whatever. So it's just a crazy situation that he's, demanding that the Republicans, that shut down the government, and then he's going to, it just, then that they're all going to blame, President Biden. No, now his crazy, people, those hardcore, what, Night of the Living Dead or whatever, what's the thing when these people are taken over by, the movie? No, the American people will, even reaching over into the Republican ranks, it will be, no, President Biden isn't to blame. Donald Trump is. And it's just insanity. I'm not sure in the future when they make a video about this, when they make movies or whatever, I'm not sure down the road a piece. I mean, I'm 82, I won't be alive. But I think in the future, they're going to, no, that couldn't happen, That could not happen. No, that didn't really happen. No, he wasn't, that guy that was president for one term, that went to prison, he wasn't that crazy. Yeah, he is that crazy and stupid. It's unbelievable. That doesn't say much for the American people. If you're in Sweden or Denmark or even the UK, do you think now the king would take us back? Maybe Canada would be willing to, could we all become, could the United States of America become, a Canadian province or something. Anything sounds good. Better than this. What this thing is going to happen here in 5 days, or maybe it's 4 days now. The government will shut down. If you are a federal employee, you're not going to get paid. If you are in some, if you're the FBI or CIA or something like that, yeah, you will get paid. If you're in the U.S. military, you will not get your money. Now, when this thing is over, you'll get your money. But a lot of these people that are in the military have families, husbands or wives at home, kids at home, or maybe on the base or something. And, they have bills to pay. They have car bills to pay. They have, medical expenses and all kinds, although the military takes care of, medical, but still. This is just... By the way, I've mentioned many times the TV show, The West Wing, which unfortunately it's available, but you have to pay for it. And I think you have to pay for like every episode. So, it's unavailable, really. The West Wing. Was a great TV series back quite a few years ago. And they covered this scenario. They covered this in one of the episodes, just like they have covered a whole bunch of other things. Donald Trump is stupid and mentally ill, and is there something that somebody is so crooked, so dishonest, what do you call that? I guess you call that a Republican. But it's just a horrendous situation. But anyway, the West Wing. Now, it wouldn't have done any good. I joked, because I knew it wouldn't do any good. Back, when the elections were taking place and when, Trump was running and that kind of stuff, I said, okay, when he should have to watch all the episodes of West Wing before he's allowed into the White House. I was joking because it was crazy, but I knew also that, and I also knew, but I didn't realize just how severely, stupid he is. That because he says things, the 4 years that he spent as President of the United States, he violated every day just about laws. And he encouraged people to, violate, laws. And just everything. By the way, I'm not going to mention it again except very shortly, that back in the 1970s, I worked for a guy. I worked hospital security. And this guy was director of security. I kind of liked him, but he was racist. And he did things and he was smart. Well, I don't know if you can say he was smart. He was smart. He put out directives and he put out material. He made manuals, I think he copied it from somebody else's. I think Denver, maybe, what their security officers used or something, for hospital and so. But anyway, he was smart. But then he did these stupid things. And I just couldn't understand. Why would he, So I did 4 grievances and I won all 4 of them. And he got pounded by administration because of the grievances that I did. And I just didn't understand what was going on. And then finally I couldn't take it any longer, and it was like, I'm out of here, It was actually set up. I'd refused to wear my supervisor's insignias. I still did my job. But, and I told him, hey, I don't want to be a supervisor anymore. And he said, Jim, I need you. And he actually did need me. But because a lot of the other guys, the security officers, were like using him. They knew how to use him. Go to his office and say, Mr. Ross, we know you can't do this. We know you can't do this, that it's not allowed. But we sure wish that you would do such and such. And then it was like, oh no, I can do that. And he just did these insane things. And if I had just known, I didn't know till Trump came on scene, and then there was books about Trump and people talking on television, about Trump and his problem. And then I was like, oh God, I wish I'd have known that when I was working, at Trinity Lutheran Hospital. I would have just quit immediately. But I thought, well, this guy is so smart. But anyway, it's something, and I don't know if did they actually give a diagnosis for Trump? Because whatever diagnosis that was. But, yeah, I mean, it really pissed me off that the security officers, some of them, would. And not only that, we had a guy at the hospital who worked in plant operations at night. He was a maintenance guy, and he worked there at night. And he was crazy. In fact, we were told in one of our, every 2 or 3 months we had a meeting, of security officers. But anyway, we were told, okay, this guy, so-and-so, in plant operations, be extremely careful. He is certifiably dangerous. And the hospital doesn't want to do anything. They're afraid of what he might do. So don't do anything to cross this guy. Don't do anything, And then this guy, after being told this, a short time later, at one of our meetings, the director of security said, oh, by the way, so-and-so came to me and he said that, that he had a permit to carry, a handgun. Of course, you weren't permitted to bring guns into the hospital, but that he had a permit, and so that he was locking the gun in his car. But he was worried about that, and he'd like to bring it into, plant operations and lock it up in there. And he said, so I gave him permission. And I was like, oh my God. And that's just one of the many things. I am telling you about this story. One time, I'm not going to. Well, I've covered that enough. But anyway, Donald Trump. If I'd have just known, in fact, I turned down a job back when I, was working at the hospital with the guy who was. Okay, I'll tell you. I'm ashamed to admit this, but he wrote me fantastic merit reviews. Man, they were so good. I couldn't, and I'd worked there 6 months when I got after 6 months you got your merit review. Anyway, when I hired in there, of course I had previous experience. I hired in on the first day that I worked. It was a Saturday, and I arrested 3 guys for stealing from surgery. Surgery just happened to be open for doing emergency surgery, and they went in and grabbed some stuff. I arrested them. And the next day, I got a call to go to the 3rd floor that the nurse, a nurse needed me up there, and I went up there and got off the elevator, and there was a guy in a business suit and everything. And he says, are you hospital security? And I said, yes, I am. And he said, I'm here about the 3 guys you arrested yesterday. And I said, well, I just have to go over here and check with the nursing station, see why they called for me. And he says, can I go with you? And I said, sure. So we went over there. And then she said, oh, a guy reached in here and grabbed some medicine out of our medicine thing and took it. And I said, where did he go? And she said, he's in the restroom. She said, I challenged him on it. And he said, where's the restroom? And she said, I told him, and right there, and he's in there. So when he came out, the narcotics officer arrested him, but I wrote at the report, and so that was my first 2 days at the hospital, working there, and so anyway, 6 months, yeah, I guess it'd be 6 months later, I got my first. After that, it was like once a year, then you got it. But so I got called to go to the security. When I came in, I knew what needed to be done, and I did it automatically. Nobody had to tell me what to do. I knew what needed to be done, and I did it. But I got called to go to the security office. I went in, and he said, oh, okay, well, there's a 6 months review, and here it is. And he slid it across, and I read it and it was like, oh shit, man, this guy really likes me, because everything he put in there it couldn't be any better. And at that time you could get 1 to 6% increase, 6% if you were and I got 5.5%, and that was because he put in there that he's new, only been here 6 months, so everything's blah, blah, fine or whatever, but if I'm giving him 5.5 or whatever. Then after that, even though I was doing grievances against him and making his life miserable, and unfortunately I found out later on making his wife's life probably miserable. If I'd have known that, I would have quit also. But anyway, it was, I got 6% each time. And, of course, eventually I was at the top of the pay scale, so I couldn't get any more. But, anyway, then I eventually, when I told the director of security, I can't take it anymore. You're driving me crazy, so I'm just going to go someplace else and work. And he says, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I don't know, but whatever, I'm going. And he said, what skills do you have? And I said, well, I'm pretty good with computers. And he said, well, we have a biomed department. He says, go talk to so-and-so. Then I went over and talked to the guy in charge of the biomed department. When I got out of high school, I wanted to go in the military, and they wouldn't take me because I was underweight. And also, of course, I forgot about my massive hearing loss, and they wouldn't have taken me. But then I, wanted to be a TV repairman, because that's actually we didn't have any electronic technicians. That would have been the thing. I wanted to go to but my math at that time was really bad, and I looked at, like E equals I over whatever, and so I ended up going to, first to real estate school, and then to welding school, and then welding, that's it. I was making good money and union jobs and everything, but so anyway, the biomed tech says, Jim, he talked to me, and real nice guy, and he says, well, you need to come to work, in the biomed department. He says, yeah, you can come to work here. And I said, well, I haven't gone to electronic technician school. He says, doesn't matter. He says, we need somebody to do all the computer stuff. Everything we do has to be, has to go into a computer. All that stuff needs to be set up. And he says, so I went back. I said, okay, well, yeah. I went back to the director of security and said, yeah, I can. And he was happy. The director of security was happy for me. But I couldn't last. I was still in security. And, of course, when the director of the biomed department, every day when he came to work, Monday through Friday, he came to security, and we issued him the keys to his department. And I said, he says, Jim, just hang on. There are 3 or 4 guys in the department that are looking to go someplace else. And 1 or more of them is going to get hired for sure, And he says, so just hang. And I said, I don't think I can make it. And I didn't. So, and I told that story again. How long have I been talking? Oh, it's only 30 minutes. There was a lot more, but I'm not going to go into those details. And because I have to go over and check, I have to go over and check the, see, what is that under? I don't remember where it is. Okay, I have to go to, where do I go? I've been going there so often that I, I forgot where I go. Oh, I have to go to, yeah, down here, to here. Windows Update, let's check. Check for updates. I know it's not going to be there. And really, I'm doing okay with this $200 Dell computer, but I don't think it's going to be updated. And you might mention, by the way, when you read this, did your computer did your Windows computer get updated with all the new stuff? Then you should feel sorry for me. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Okay. By the way, if you can, click some of the links below or whatever. If you go to one of the links, I'll get some money in my Amazon thing. You can click some, click the subscribe, click the thumbs up, do what you can to help out. So I won't be so sad having a computer here that doesn't have the very latest and greatest stuff. It sounds great.